Okay, well, our meeting that we have this year is closer to Texas and Louisiana and the border of Arkansas, Louisiana, and southeast Oklahoma we've ever had before. And we did this on purpose. This is some ideas that come up from our board of directors, and they come up with some really, really good stuff. You talk about a talented group of people, we've got it helping us save this tree and restore it. And so anyhow, we're trying to favor a little bit of this southern part of the range, which is a little bit different. And we have this morning Edwin Hendrix. Edwin, where are you at? Okay, if you can come on up here. Edwin is from East Texas, and he is a pretty amazing fellow. I spent some time with him last year, learned about the Chinquapin trees. And does this microphone come off here?
It does.
It does? Okay. And so, and you'll have to, if you hold it like this, they can't hear you. Like this, they can hear you though. So just to keep in mind. But anyhow, he was gracious enough to come up here and talk about the Chinquapins for us. And I've got a little bit of something I'm going to read right here for you. You can see a lot better without that, I think. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Edwin Hendrix was born in 1944 and spent the first 6 years of his life in a two-room house deep in the big thicket of East Texas. One half was built from pine logs, the other half from pine lumber. And he says we had a dirt fireplace, and the chimney was made from a mix of dirt and pine straw. One room served as both bedroom, living room, while the other was our kitchen, warmed by a wood-burning stove. You'll like what's coming up here. And so Edwin's dad worked in the logging woods, skinned pine logs with a pair of mules. And we lived off the land with a garden of vegetables, a milk cow for fresh milk, chickens for eggs and meat, and a few hogs. When winter came, my dad would butcher the hogs and cure the meat in the smokehouse, making sure we had enough bacon and meat to last us. We hunted squirrels and deer for meat. Nothing was wasted. My dad also cut Chinquapin trees to make fence posts. However, he was very careful about it, and he thinned the trees selectively and made sure not to damage the forest around them. Chinquapin trees were everywhere back then, grown in the sandy soil and rolling hills of East Texas. I remember picking the delicious Chinquapin nuts up and eating them, and picking them for my grandmother to eat. It was a simple life, but it was a good one. Just a country boy growing up in the big thicket, learning how to live off the land and respect it in return. Today, part of the land I grew up on is preserved as the Big Thicket National Preserve, a place that holds memories of life that we lived in the wild beauty we called home. So I want to go ahead and turn this over to Edwin Hendrix. And Edwin, thank you very much for coming out, buddy.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank Steve and the foundation and all that's involved in this saving the Chinquapin tree. What we're up here talking about, he was referring to, is that also was born in the piney woods with longleaf forest. I don't know if anybody's out there knows what a longleaf pine is. Probably not, they didn't grow up here. But if you, okay, there's a guy that goes. So you know when I say rich light or pine, what I'm talking about. I've actually got some chips that later this afternoon when we get on our discussion that I'll open those chips up and they smell like pine oil. And they make turpentine. But anyway, get back to the Chinquapin tree. Those things were literally everywhere there in Polk County, there in Texas, East Texas, where I was raised up. And my daddy did for a few years in his life. He did drive mules, skin logs. He also, later on, he became a janitor there at the schools. We got a little school out there and a post office, and that's all that's there. We got no gas station, no convenience store. You got to drive about 15 miles before you find a gas station or a dollar store. Anyway, getting back to the Chinquapins, we used to have 3 rings there in East Texas, Polk County there. The livestock run free. Well, in 1955, they voted to start low end. So we had the lease, everyone had cows. My daddy had a few cows and his brothers, so they leased the land from a huge timber company for the leasing rights. And we had to fence the cows and all the hogs up. Cows wasn't too hard, but the hogs were in the wood wild. And the hogs were, they belonged to individual people. And they all had a mark in their ear. And it was actually registered at the Polk County Courthouse. And all the old timers back then, they knew everybody's mark in their ears. When they come up on a bunch of hogs, their dog would obey them. And you can bet if you had a dog and he got into the hog, he was coming back to you and they was after him. So he either went up a tree or, like my dad said, don't worry, they're not going to get you, but I'd be up a tree now. But anyway, we had to fence about 1,500 acres of the lease. And used to be years ago, I can remember, we used to go out in the woods and those lonely pines where lightning would hit them, or the red cockaded woodpecker could get into them. We used to have those there. They're not there no more, but we no longer have longleaf, just very few. We do have the Big Thicket National Preserve that's there since 1980, composed of about 113,000 acres. So if you want to look at something, you just go to Google and just type in the Big Thicket. It'll take you to it. Getting back to the Chinquapins, we started cutting posts. I remember my daddy, we had a wagon, my grandpa did, and we'd hitch a mule up, had a mule, my grandpa had a mule and a plow horse, so both of them, they plow. But anyway, we would hitch those up and we would go down there on a sandy hill and we would cut Chinquapins all day. And all day we cut Chinquapins. But we didn't cut them all out in one big spot, we'd make a clear cut. My dad would cut one here, one there, one there. We'd get that wagon filled up, we'd carry it back home and unload it. And then we would go back and get some more posts. Like I say, back then the Chinquapin trees were everywhere. The blight came through down there where I live about 40 years ago. And I used to make what they call self bows, the Indian type bows. So I came in one afternoon and I told my wife I'm going to go down behind my house here and get me a couple of staves so I can make me some bows out of it out of Chinquapin wood. Went out there and they were all dead. I did not know this because I worked 6 days a week most of my life. But anyway, I cut a couple of them down and was going to try to make bows out of them, but they had wormholes in them, so I couldn't use them. But anyway, it was very important. The Chinquapin tree was even in diets. I can remember when the ground was literally covered, you couldn't walk without stepping on Chinquapin. They would have any of them. We had huge hardwood forests back then. Beautiful country. I wish everybody could just see East Texas as it was at one time. And the longleaf, that'd be another good site too. Just Google longleaf pine, and it gives you some good info on that. I can remember my grandmother she loved sweet mass, she loved Chinquapins, and she loved beech mass. And what a beech mass is, well, it's a sweet mass. If you had Chinquapins, you just go there and sit down and you shoot your squirrel out and you didn't get up. You just shot him out in a few minutes, there'd be some more there. But the ground was in the fall of the year, like in early November, down there when our start falling. We'd pick those up, had what we call a syrup bucket. Made on, had a lid on it, had a bell on it. I would literally pick those things full for my grandmother. Same way with beech mass. And I remember in grammar school, at our Halloween carnival, someone would put Chinquapins in a quart jar, and it would have a prize, and it took a nickel to take a chance, and you had to guess how many Chinquapins was in that jar, in that quart jar. So the person that got it or come closest got, I don't know, probably $85 the most. But $5 back in there, a lot of money. It was just a big part of the Chinquapin work. It was quite by chance. Eventually he said, this is a God thing, got me and this man together. I was talking to a gentleman at a nursery called Native Nursery. nursery in Georgia. Some of y'all may know that they got some in Mississippi. And was asking him about the Chinquapin. He said, no. He said, I told him what had happened to ours. And he gave me Steve's email address. So I sent Steve an email. So I found some Chinquapins. And I done that quite a chance. But anyway, we got together. Steve called me and we talked probably for an hour and a half on the phone. I got some nephews that's like 60 years old. They had never seen a Chinquapin tree. And odd thing about it, my nephew, where I found these Chinquapin trees, is that where they was always at. He had a deer stand there and he got a lane cut out. When the lane cut out, he got a big Chinquapin limb hanging over the road that he didn't want to. So anyway, I found those and he said, okay, Edwin, I want you to take me down and show me the Chinquapin trees. I've never seen them. I said, okay. So I did. I came down there and several of them. Got with the company that, the timber company that owns the land. We got with them. They came down and looked at it, and they actually blocked that part off for no logging. So it's perpetuated right there with those Chinquapin trees. And I do my best trying to raise them. Steve sent me some Chinquapin nuts, and I sent him a few. And that's the way we're going to get them back, but they'll never be back the way they were. But we can only thank and remember. Like I say, I was born when I spent the first 6 years in an old log house, and Steve's not taking too much time to it.
No,
But
you're
anyway,
perfect.
we had an old dug well. We draw water. My mother washed on a wash pot, over a bowl. We had to draw water out of the well. We had a little milk cow. My dad always had milk cows up to even after I got grown and had my family still had his milk cow. He had one cow, an old Jersey cow. I always had Jersey. She could literally drink 2 5-gallon buckets of water. And those had to be thrown out of that well, one bucket at a time. And the only time it was my job to draw the well water for the milk cow. And she drank 1 time a day, but she would literally drink it. You know what?
I'm not going to touch the microphone. What y'all don't know is Edwin, you didn't go to college and get a PhD or anything like that, did you? Yeah, your son did, I know, but I'm talking about you.
No.
And the reason I'm saying this is Edwin is a smart man. He's got woods of wisdom, and it's a knowledge that you don't see very often. Let me tell you what, the very first restoration plot in the state of Texas, this man started last year. And a big part of what we're doing on our restoration is our first thing was to get blight resistance. We've got it. And today, trees and seed that are blight resistant are a reality. All of you in this room helped create this.